Mark Carney wants a full government takeover of our economy. He wants more control over your life, so elites and insiders like him control and profit from everything.
It's coming crashing down. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got the housing market in Canada crumbling, multiple factors compounding to the point where housing prices are falling and nobody is buying. We got Pierre Poilievre delivering one of his best speeches in a long time here. We've also got a new group of protesters in the streets of Ottawa. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off, we've got Sharia Teese with some new polling data. Look at this. The Liberals 41, the Conservatives at 40. This is getting tight here. So much for a huge gap as we were seeing maybe a week or week and a half ago with that Nanos data. And with that modeled out, we see 151 seats for the Liberals and 151 seats for the Conservatives. Minus 18, you see this? Plus 7 for the Conservatives, the Bloc getting plus 5, and the NDP getting 12 back to official party status. So interesting turn of events here. Got this one from the food professor. Breaking: Del Monte Foods files for bankruptcy. Canned fruit and vegetable maker says it will continue operations during court supervised sale process. One major headwind for Del Monte moving forward: consumers are shifting towards fresher and healthier options, reducing sales of traditional canned products. They need to pivot and fast. If you look through the comments here, a lot of people not wanting to buy food processed, as it says here, in China. I used to buy their fruit cups for school lunches, then they were processed in China, so I stopped buying them. People don't like stuff processed in China because their health standards are atrocious. Moving ahead, what do we've got here? We've got hundreds of boxes for these world event tests, with 540 tests in each box were found at a landfill. All of this was purchased at the expense of taxpayers, now are being simply discarded. Waste of money. Look how many boxes. Just pallets of this crap. The contracts the government signed did not allow for any refunds, even if they didn't work. Not to mention the companies that the government funded to create this stuff that went bust didn't even become operational. Moving ahead, we've got the housing industry in Canada starting to collapse. This one from Shazzy Goli saying a tech worker making $100K, a Bay Street lawyer starting at $100K plus, combined $16,000 a month, credit score over 800, perfect rental history, still rejected from 3 rentals. Quite something, huh, in Canada? Just things get worse and worse. Take a look at this. We've got bidding wars are dead, listings are up, sellers can't sell and buyers won't bite.
New home sales for June are just out from the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. This follows numbers from Vancouver and Calgary, where sales in all 3 cities are slumping and bidding wars seem to be a thing of the past. Scott Peterson is following this for us this morning. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Juanita.
So what's the reason for this downturn?
The reason is persistent uncertainty. This is according to all 3 real estate boards across the country, and this is despite real estate boards really getting ready for a busy spring market. We had rate reductions from the Bank of Canada, and they're just not seeing it this year, and they're pointing to all the uncertainty with our biggest trading partner, with the U.S. and the tariff impositions there. Let's take a look at what we're seeing from new numbers out from the Toronto Real Estate Board just this morning, that we're seeing basically the same story in all 3 cities, and as we're seeing rising inventories and lower sales and lower prices. So Toronto home sales last June and this June down 2.4% from last year, about 6,200 sold during the month. Prices also soggy from this time last year, now down about 5.5%. Average price now just over $1.1 million for all types of homes in Toronto.
That's still way too expensive. Canadians can't afford this. If you don't have a house, good luck getting a house.
Now, new listings, and this is where it gets interesting. Active total listings are up 31% from this time last year. That means there's now over 31,000 unsold homes in the Toronto area. Vancouver sales, similar story here. Their sales are down close to 10% year over year. 2,100 sold in the month of June. Prices also down about 2.8% to $1.17 million. New listings are up. Active listings in particular up 24% from last year.
So that's 24% Vancouver, 33% in Toronto, I believe he said. And combine that with the builders who are now not selling pre-sales. They can't build new buildings. Building materials are too expensive to have new housing starts. This is all compounding. This is a serious problem that's going to burst here. We're just starting to see the tip of it. Now, CMHC said that this is a dip and the prices are going to go back up. We'll see what happens here. It's a wild ride in Canadian real estate.
Over 17,000 unsold homes now are are up for sale. Calgary home sales, a similar story, down a whopping 18%, 2,200 sales in the month of June. Prices down 3.6% to $586,000. And again, new listings up, total listings up 83% to 6,900 homes listed for sale. So really the signs here.
Calgary listings up 83%, almost double. I think this is because there's a bunch of Albertans who want out of Canada. That's what that looks like to me. Or people who are trying to sell and move to another province. I think likely this is a lot of Albertans moving out of the country. That number is wildly bigger than Toronto and Vancouver.
Here are clear for all three markets, and it is soggy sales. It's a buyer's market. We're not seeing the bidding wars that we saw in the past. We're seeing sales being soggy and also new listings piling.
This guy loves using the word soggy. I've never heard anyone describe real estate listings as soggy.
Up for people wanting to sell their homes are unable to sell their homes in this environment.
Is that because they're soggy? People are hanging in there, though. My wife and I are looking for a new place in our neighborhood, and nobody is selling right now. Housing will be a horrible investment for the next few years, just like back in 2007 to 2015 in Canada. It won't produce returns like during the bubble, needs to consolidate for a long time. Meanwhile, I put every dollar in gold and silver stocks, which will be the next big bubble in the next 4 to 5 years. This is just someone's comment. I should notice I'm reading this comment. This is not financial advice. The houses aren't worth millions. Not when my parents got a decent home for $90K. Now the average house is $900K. It's a crime. It really is. You can buy a castle in Europe for the same price as a Canadian house. We got this one from Global News. Says Canada's real estate becomes buyer's market as homes are most affordable in 3 years.
Canada's housing market is finally cooling off. And after 3 years of bidding wars and home selling for well over asking price, that offers some relief to many Canadians waiting to make this big purchase.
Buyers understand that for the first time in a long time, they hold the cards. For most markets across Canada, and this is a good thing that you can buy a house without having to make a decision in 20 minutes, and you can put conditions in. Like, this is the type of marketplace we've been asking for a long time.
And
this is kind of goofy. Like, let's get real. Back in the day, if you go back to 2015, you could buy a house, say, in Coquitlam. In Greater Vancouver, like a 45-minute drive outside of Vancouver, you could buy a house there for about $500,000. And then the bidding wars came in, and I watched them come in. You'd have groups come over from China, and they would just be bidding and bidding and bidding, and not a single person spoke a word of English. They would bid that house up from $500,000 to $750,000, and it would be sold at the end of that open house. Now we're sitting on a bunch of $800, $900 million houses, saying it's a good thing for buyers. It's not a good thing. Just because there's not a bunch of people festering over $1 million house, there's no bidding war now because it's overinflated, is not a good thing. The houses need to go back down to $500,000, $400,000 and not have that bidding war.
The supply of homes for sale have brought prices down from their 2022 peak. Also helping buyers are lower interest rates as a result of aggressive rate cuts by the Bank of Canada. But for many, home prices are still out of reach.
It's not like homes have been cut in half in price or anything. It's still very expensive. You hear what's happening with the overall market and you assume like everything's a buyer's market, everything's a seller market, but it's just not the case. Like one street over because of a school district can change the sale price by $100,000.
Affordability has only improved by a third nationwide. That's according to RBC research that looked at the past 15 months. Vancouver and Toronto recorded the largest price decreases, but they're still Canada's least affordable markets. And in places like Quebec City, Montreal, and Victoria, home prices are up over the past 5 quarters. And one section of the market where inventories are sky high are condos.
We have more condos for sale than we've ever had before. A large portion of the demand previously for the condo market was investors, and they're not participating in the market like they previously were.
And that has a ripple effect for those waiting to sell their condos in order to afford a house. Also keeping buyers on the sidelines is economic uncertainty, especially as U.S. tariffs impact businesses and jobs.
Makes total sense. You don't have a job, you can't afford a mortgage, you can't buy a house, right?
Nivrita Ganguly, Global News, Toronto.
Who is this guy they brought on here? We got Sherlock on the scene. They're way from affordable still. It's a trap. Almost 80% of people are maxed out with their income with current home prices. So cheap, no one is buying. A bunch of people just laughing at affordable. Nothing is affordable. The prices are coming down a lot, but it's still way too high. As this comment says, another 20% drop in the benchmark, then I'll think about buying. Let's drop it 50%. I mean, look at this one from Shazzy Gully. It says Toronto home has been on the market 51 days. It's sold, but with an escape clause. So this is quite common. It says here the buyer has until August 20th to back out if they can't sell their own place. So it's a sale clause. That's 3 months in limbo. That's pretty long for a clause like that, but that is common if someone wants to just get a deal locked in. And in this case, there's not a lot of buyers, so you basically have to take this and pray. But considering how bad the market is, there's a good chance that this house won't get sold because the buyer's house won't sell. And we got this one here saying 84 GTA homes sold with an escape clause right now. That's 84 deals that could collapse at any moment. I would suspect that at least half of these deals are going to collapse, if not 75%. Probably likely 14, 15 of these deals will actually go through. Welcome to the era of conditional chaos. And we got this one here. Real estate prices collapse West Niagara. It says what's been going on in real estate prices recently. Grimsby was a boom town from 2020 to 2025. Now like something has suddenly changed, the prices are falling fast. Is it that people don't want to live here anymore? Is it too far away from cities? Wanted to get some ideas. So what happens here is you've got major markets like Vancouver and Toronto. They set the standard for the entire region. When prices go up in Vancouver or Toronto, then 3 or 4 or 5 months later, those prices start to scatter out around the city, and then the prices go up quickly because as people do new listings, they do comparables, and as they get further and further and further out, they do comparables, but it takes time. It takes months for that to cascade outwards. Same thing as where I live here on Vancouver Island. Prices go up on Vancouver, and then it'll take 2 months, and then it jumps over to Nanaimo and Victoria, Comox, etc., and it ripples out, but it takes multiple months. And it works in the inverse as well. If prices start coming down, it'll come down to Vancouver and Toronto first, and then the outskirt areas will take a couple months to catch up. So in a case like this, West Niagara, Grimsby, it's likely the collapsing prices in Toronto happened, and then there was a delay, and then suddenly the bottom fell out and the prices just started to fall. Here we've got real growth in home prices, real disposable income and population. So home prices, this crazy one here, income and population. Now compare the United States and we realize how bad of a situation we're really in. Now moving back over to Calgary Stampede, we've got Mark Carney, elbows up, can't flip a pancake. And we had Pierre Poilievre giving this speech. I showed a clip of it in the previous video. Well, here's some more of it. This was quite a long speech.
The reality is, my friends, that Mark Carney and the Liberals are spending irresponsibly and threatening our present generation with high inflation and our future generations with more debt. In fact, it looks like this year's Liberal deficit might be even bigger than the one that Trudeau left behind. The Liberals have gone from the budget will balance itself to there's no budget at all. And this is really building on their ideology. Tax, regulate, subsidize, repeat. Mr. Carney has the same approach as Trudeau on this as well. Liberals block things and then they subsidize those same things. Think about it. They block pipelines, then they buy pipelines. They pay local bureaucracies to block home building. Then they create a $25 billion bureaucracy to build homes. They ban independent media from the internet, and then they subsidize other media, supposedly because we have a crisis in news coverage.
They subsidize to the tune of $1.3 billion, most of it going to the CBC, as well as CTV Global and a couple others, Toronto Star, and then making it hard for independent media and making it hard for people like me. I can't speak freely, but they can speak freely. They also get boosted in the algorithm on big events. If you notice on YouTube, those big news media companies, they always blow up whenever there's some big Trump news or some other big news. When it's not some headline thing, you notice the views on creators' channels are always way more than the mainstream media. It's unfair rules. Not only that, they're allowed to say everything on their channels. They can use the full array of words where I have to screen everything. Rules for me, not for thee.
They pass laws that stop things and then they dig into your pocket to subsidize those same things. As Ronald Reagan put it, if anything moves, a Liberal will tax it. If it keeps moving, a Liberal will regulate it. And when it stops moving, a Liberal will subsidize it. Now, the commonality and the consistency in all of this is the simple. By blocking you from doing something and then making you ask the government to help you do it, it makes you reliant on them. It puts them at the center of all power, in charge of your life. And that is their mission, that is their goal. Mark Carney wants a full government takeover of our economy. He wants more control over your life, so elites and insiders like him control and profit from everything. We conservatives, by contrast, we believe in freedom. We want you to have the ability to control your own destiny and make your own course. We believe.
So as he mentioned there, to profit off everything, he nailed it right there. That's why they just announced a $21 million carbon capture plants in Alberta program, because that's going to be more money funneled straight back into Brookfield and into their own stocks, their own stock options, and into their own pockets.
We believe in freedom of enterprise, freedom of speech, thought, religion, expression, and more. We want government that minds its own business and leaves people to be free to decide for themselves.
If only we had that kind of government in power right now. Pierre's getting his support back. He's starting to pull it back. People are realizing Carney is not the guy they thought he was. They voted for the wrong person. We saw it in the polls. They're starting to slip. Pierre's just got to stay on this course. He's going to get back in the House here soon, by-election coming. He'll be back at the end of August, so basically about a month and a half from now. And everything's going to hinge on Mark Carney's deal with Trump, or if he does get a deal. If he doesn't get a deal, he is done. And if he doesn't get a good deal, he's done. Mark Carney's in the bottom of the ninth here, and he has to hit a grand slam or he's screwed.
Workers work, let builders build, let farmers farm, let investors invest, and let parents parent. We want Canada to be the freest country on earth, where everyone who works hard gets a fair shot at a good life. And that is what brings us here to this moment.
And that's just it. We don't have a fair shot right now. Canadians are put last. Newcomers and refugees are put first in this country, even though we're paying for everything. And on top of it all, it's just the rich, elite, well-connected insiders, the liberals, stuffing their pockets full of cash. I mean, you have so many stuff like Randy Balsanow. What happened with that? Stephen Anderson, Christian Firth, Darren Anthony, all of this corruption and scandals. Annette Verschun, SDTC. We got hundreds of millions of dollars that was stolen from us. Canadians just want a basic fair shot at life, and the liberals were caught stealing money and they don't go to jail. It's just corruption when they steal our money. The RCMP don't do their job, don't put them in jail, aren't investigating. You got judges looking the other way and nothing happens. We need a change in this country. That change will come with Pierre Poilievre as the Prime Minister. We will get another election here, and it'll probably be within the next year. Moving ahead here, we've got a new player on the field, as Chris Stacey says here, Hussein. We've got a group of Hussein supporters. So this is a Muslim group. They may be friendly with the Palestinians, but they're a different group wearing all black, entering into the protest realm. Hussein Hope for Humanity.
That's what exactly we go for. Thank you. That's what I want to do.
So I believe these people are Shia Muslims. So it says, commemorate Imam Hussein. It looks like it's in French, but Imam Hussein is the guy that they're praising in the voice of human justice.
The ark of salvation! The ark of salvation!
I don't really know all that much about this group aside from some basics here. Are we going to start seeing them every day in the streets as well? All professionally made banners and signs. That is an interesting thing to point out. Somebody's printing these at a print shop and spending money.